Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome back. If you don't know me, I am Mike Asherbranner, the proud and humble leader of the Hounds of Business community and professionally known as the Redneck Connector. And you are tuning in to Mike King Biz Radio on ESPN RVA 106.1 FM, folks. Whether you're live right now on YouTube or LinkedIn at Hounds of Business, or you're driving around Richmond or getting ready for the weekend, thank you for tuning in. I am super duper excited, folks. We're going to talk about transformational strategies for business breakthrough with a man who has been there, done that, doing it again, Baz Porter. So let's roll this intro and get this party started. And by the way, April Wyatt is in the house. So is Lewis. Thank you all for always being here early and showing up. Man, the Hounds does it like no other. Just like Mike King. They put that man on the Jumbotron, y'all. He pushes his community up like nobody else. So appreciate you, Mike King. Let's get this party started, folks.
Looks like your business might be in a bit of a pickle. Don't you worry about a thing. You ain't alone in this. You're just a success story waiting to happen. Trust me on that. Every bump in the road is just an opportunity wearing a clever disguise. Welcome to the Hounds of Business community, where we don't just sit around twiddling our thumbs. Nope. We turn those obstacles into mighty fine stepping stones. This here's a place where high-level entrepreneurs and sharp professionals gather to grow their businesses and mindsets, kind of like how a good old gumbo needs the right ingredients to be something special. Ideas thrive here, and collaborations, well, they're as natural as sweet tea on a hot day. Success, it's a journey, and we're fixing to walk that road right beside you. Now, don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn for all the latest tips and insights. We're talking about the kind of wisdom that'll keep you ahead of the game. And while you're at it, head on over to our YouTube channel. We've got ourselves a treasure trove of videos, from expert interviews to webinars, everything you need to stay sharp in this fast-moving world of business. The Hounds of Business community? Well, we ain't just a network, we're a movement. So why not come on and be part of something bigger? Join us today and let's turn your business journey into a real Southern success story. Together, we'll achieve greatness, just like crawfish and singing on a Friday night.
All right, folks, let's bring this catalyst for professional transformation, Baz Porter, up and see if he knows anything about crawfish and singing on a Friday night. But Baz, you with us, buddy?
I am, mate. Thank you very much for having me. How are you?
I'm good, but hey, the audience wants to know, do you have crawfish over there? And where are you?
I'm in Colorado, and I have tried crawfish, but I don't have them over here, and I don't have any to hand. So I can go out and get some, but that'll be a different show and a different party.
Yeah, we'll have to call Gordon Ramsay in if we go that far. See what he has to say. The crawfish is raw. All right. So, yeah, I love that show, man. So appreciate you being here, Baz. Let me give an intro and ask you a question, if you don't mind. You went from British Army veteran to homelessness. Then you ended up taking $7, turned it into a multi-six-figure empire. All right, folks have to know. Take your time if you need. What was the rock bottom moment that became your turning point, my friend?
Well, yes, and the rock bottom was many of them. When I was in the forces, I was proud to serve, and I left in 2004. But there wasn't anything called mental health or PTSD or anything else back then. It was just, thank you for your service. Here's your red book. Here's your medals. Please have a great life.
Yeah.
And what I found was very quickly that no one cared. And I actually left the UK back then. I went to Cyprus for nearly 10 years, and I became a DJ. In that DJ status, being on stage, doing all of that jazz, I was drinking heavily. I was doing a lot of drugs and other various things, because that was the way we cope with it. But I didn't know it was actually causing an addiction problem. Later, I found out after I came back to the UK to have a relationship when I met a tourist, which ultimately failed. Now, when you speak about rock bottom moments, there are several, because I come back from the UK, went from Cyprus to the UK. The relationship lasted about 6 months, and it was doomed. I was not a nice person, and ended up being homeless.
Wow.
By choice mainly, because I had nowhere to go. I didn't know anybody. And I look back at it then and think, well, it happened for me because it gave me the platform and the understanding of what I'm doing today. But the rock bottom moment for me was realizing I'd become the person I most despised. I'd become the narcissist. I'd become the epitome of society and the part of the problem instead of the solution.
Right.
And trying to get sober, fixed, I was looking for everybody else and playing a victim a lot of the time, where it's everybody else's fault. They need to fix me.
I've been there.
They need to do this. But what it was actually doing was I was crying out for help, and I didn't know how to ask for help, purely because there was no one in my life have ever taught me how to say I need help in this specifically. I didn't know what it was that I was going through. So I eventually found a stable-ish job, and I became a head gardener at a place called Ralphcourt Gardens, just outside of Bromyard in Hereford, or just outside of Hereford. This continued where I was just drinking at weekends heavily, doing karaoke, living that party lifestyle, but going into that process of trying to understand myself and fix me. But I had no idea what that meant. I had no pathway. The tools were far inaccessible for me. The coaching, I never even heard of coaching. Didn't know what entrepreneurship was, no business skills, sales skills, marketing, none of that. That sort of cycle of sofa surfing, being in this routine, it was a routine, it was a lifestyle for me for a very long time, broke. And it nearly broke me to the point where I was living in my car one Christmas, and it was Christmas Eve. And I was like, what am I doing? What is my life actually becoming? And it was freezing cold. I was living in the back seat of my car, and I was a mess. What I didn't realize at the time was actually giving me the foundation for what I do now. I had what we call a spiritual awakening in about 2018. Come to Jesus moment, spiritual awakening. Something came through me that I cannot still explain. And I was seeing things, hearing things. I thought I was going completely nuts. And it kept telling me, speak my truth, speak my voice. At the time, I had no clue what that meant or what it would even look like.
Right.
And Facebook was doing its thing back then. So I got on Facebook and wrote an essay in a post. And I'm talking, it was about that big.
Like back to school essay.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, 2 thumbs. Yeah. The response I got from it, because I said I was a healer, I was a medium, I'm seeing all this stuff, and it was overwhelming. These were people that said, oh, finally you're speaking what we already knew. And I was like, what? What are you on about? How do you know that about me when I don't know about that about myself? No, I've never verbally said it. And at the time, I thought I was a healer and a medium. Great, whatever. A week after I did that, I had this conversation today with somebody, actually. I said, okay, God, what do you want? What do you want from me? A week later, my car blew up. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Can't get to work. So as a result of that, I couldn't get to work. I lost my job. Because I couldn't get a job and pay my rent, I lost the house or lost the place where I was staying.
Golly.
And then I phoned a friend of mine. Her name is Anne, dear friend. She's like a sister to me. I said, look, I don't want to go back on the streets. I'm scared. I need help. And it's the first time I actually said and verbalized out loud, I need someone to help me, but I don't know how. She said, I've got a spare bedroom. Come and stay with me. And that was the lowest point, because for me, although I didn't know, it was a proud thing for me. I didn't want to ask for help. I was a very proud person. I still am. I'm very like, well, I don't want to bother somebody. I don't want to be that burden for somebody else.
Oh yeah.
What happened was quite remarkable, because I actually found a Facebook group that spoke my language at the time. I ended up running it, and I grew the group from 4,000 people to 36,000 within about 6 months.
Wow, no kidding.
And it was, I was like, what's all this? But what I was doing was helping people for free with problems. Most of them people were in the United States. So I was helping them on internet, phone, etc., for on their time zone. Because I'm in the UK still, so they're 4, 5, 8 hours ahead sometimes.
Right.
So I'm up 18 hours a day having all these conversations.
Oh yeah, I know. We got hounds that are up like midnight, man. It means a lot.
But what I realized was I'm helping these people for free with problems. This is when I discovered coaching. And I was like, oh, that's cool. What's coaching?
Right.
But it changed my entire life. Because that process of going from rock bottom into discovering as a version of myself set me on a pathway to where I am today, not knowing this, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. I'm glad you took the time to tell that, because a lot of our hounds and folks we work with and audience and people listening in, you know, again, you hear me say it a lot. You know, we think we should be ashamed, right? Like we should keep it to ourselves. Like we're defective. I'm a special kind of messed up. And then when you hear these true stories about folks who have building, growing, overcoming, you realize that other people are just better at hiding it than we were. Like, you know, like, man, most people are messed up in some form or fashion. And it's not about how messed up you are, Baz. Like, at least that's my interpretation of your story. It's about, like you said, man, taking responsibility, saying, listen, it may not be my fault. It may not be just. It may be awful, but I got to deal with it. Just like we were on the show together. You interviewed me. We talked about it. So let's fast forward just a little bit, because folks can check out your channel. You've got YouTube. You have all kind of resources. Folks, if you want to learn more anytime, you go to Rams, R-A-M-S, like Ram, right? By Baz, B-A-Z. Well, it's Baz, but I call him Baz because I'm redneck. So he's okay with it. He's a good man. So through all of this just up and down journey, man, like it's hard enough to have nothing, but when you got something and lose it, like, oh, dude, like, man. But see, the thing about it is, folks that understand the principles and they choose to operate can rebuild. I've seen businessmen and women lose everything, come back, build it bigger, right? And so you developed your own formula. I've got to ask, because I want folks to make sure they get this. The Rams, R-A-M-S, Rams formula, right? It's got Fortune 500 executives lining up. And so break this down for us. What does it stand for? What does RAM stand for? How is it different than all these other success systems out there, man?
So, and thank you. Rams is, I'm my first client. So when I teach something or guide somebody through a process, whether it be Rams or another blueprint, whatever you want to call them, I'm my first client. So I've tried, tested it. I know it works. I'm not coming from theory. It's not a college degree. It's not a university theory. It's actual applied knowledge. And how do I know it works? I'm stood here. That's how I know it. And I back it up fully. As long as you apply the steps and do what I suggest and advise, because I can't tell anybody what to do,
right? Then
it works. RAM simply is a reverse engineered blueprint. It stands for results. Pick a result that you want, specific, and then we go through a process that has a whole day or a whole week of what that looks like. So it's now coming into finite. This is what your life will look like in 6 months. And we build it from there. And then we go into attitude and authenticity. The reason I add authenticity is because if you're not authentic, the attitude and mind states and mindsets and beliefs and values do not work. No matter how much you push them, how much you try, They are not aligned with who you authentically are, who you are at your soul. So everything must be aligned. The next part is mastery. And it's constant elevation of the result. When someone says you're going to get this, well, maybe there's a different level. Maybe that first bit of what you truly wanted, because of the authenticity, because of the attitudes and the mindset shifts and all the rest of it, has elevated. So it's constant mastery of what you want, what your day, your life, position, whatever it is, result is you're gonna get. That's the elevation. So it's constant application of getting a better result. Then we looked at systems. Now these are the things that people overlook, and we have many systems. There are systems to create a blueprint. There are systems that create a map, a program in a computer. But there are systems to do with finance. There are systems to do with personal development, how to build a business, how to market your business, how to build a lifestyle, what you're truly wanting out of life, a relationship. Now, people, when we look at relationships, which I found very interesting, was a relationship isn't just with a partner. A relationship can be with your finances, with your car, with your mobile phone, depending how long you spend on it. Most people spend far too much time with their phone and not enough time with their partners.
Yeah.
And there's no judgment there from me, but look at it. Is it serving you? So the systems were built around a lifestyle that you truly wanted and actually serve you. And then we take a result, the thing that we spoke about in the very beginning, does all of that stuff align with the result? And how do you start combining it to create a life that you truly want? Tony Robbins said this, Jim Rohn said this, a life on your terms. But
there you go,
what does it mean to you? The only way to answer that is through a process that is guided through a result that you think or can imagine is real and can be created.
Yeah, see, I appreciate it. I want to dive into this right after I give a shout out to Mike King.
Sure.
But I found that the hard way. You see, you have a framework. I had to figure it out by jumping off the cliff and falling off 5,000 times. And this is why I love these discussions, because you're absolutely right, in my opinion. And what I see from a lot of folks, you got to get the internal stuff right, man. You got to define success for yourself. What is my best self? You know, but that's kind of like a chiropractor cracking his own neck, right? Like it's very difficult. And that's why we have other guides, man. So let's get into that for the last 10 minutes or so. But I wanted to give Mike King a shout out. Mike King Biz Radio. Love our partnership, man. As I always say, it's like having PB and J in the same dadgum jar, man. 20 years ago, Baz, that happened, and I'm still talking about it. And so wanted to give a shout out. Thank you for pushing up your community. Love the relationship with the Hounds. And by the way, folks, if you're listening on the air, if you're live right now, building a business is hard. Leaving a legacy, doing all the work that we just don't talk about usually. That's hard. So don't do it alone. You have an impact to make in this world. You're willing to give up your 401k and risk it all in your 40s and above, right? And so you need the people, resources, and support. If you need things that are going to help you move the needle, all right, no more shameless plug, but the Hounds of Business. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us at LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, Redneck1 at LinkedIn, on LinkedIn. Or you can send me a carrier pigeon. I still take those, like Game of Thrones style, all right? Might take a little while. We got bad weather. So I wanted to give everybody that shout out. Thank you for tuning in. Janice Debo, Troy Carnes, see you, my friend. And, of course, April White is in the house. And Ron Haynes, I think that's how you say it. Good to see you, my friend, first timer. And so let's get back into it, Baz, because now you woke me up. Now that folks understand this is natural and normal, right? If you're being called to do something special in your life, however old you are, whatever situation, you just got to be willing to. So now you have a framework. So let's dive in a little bit, because you've helped leaders, right? People who look successful on paper, but they're burning out behind closed doors, right? And that's the difficult part. We don't want a peacock feather. We don't want to show people that, but it's killing us silently. A lot of executives, a lot of successful people, entrepreneurs deal with that. So what's the biggest mistake in your experience that high achievers make that's keeping them from their true fulfillment, that harmony in life?
I think that's a great question. A lot of what I've done on the research of this and through my own interactions with these people Yes, like you said, they're on the outside. They've built up this brand. They're on stages. They've got best-selling books. They've got everything that you can possibly think to on the outside of what you would normally call success.
Right.
I interviewed over 400 women in designing all of this, and I reached out to them on LinkedIn, and I said, I'm not going to sell you anything. I just want to get to know who you are and what your challenges are. I promise you, I'm not going to sell a thing. This is not a sales call.
But
one of these things there were a few things that kept coming up, and it was their self-worth. And the reason they built this brand or persona up was to enforce or reinforce to the world to justify that they are successful. However, inside, they were completely destroyed. And people don't step forward. I haven't met one person in the entire time I've been doing this and said, I have a problem. Stuck their hand up and said, I despise myself, ever. Because to the public eye, they're successful. They've built this fortress of best-selling books. They're on stages. They're traveling here. They've got the perfect vacation. They've got the perfect life. Out on the outside. What I found very quickly was they did it because they didn't feel worthy. And that comes in many different forms, and through the interviews, through helping them, guiding them through this process, it stems back from a belief that they were taught. And it could be money doesn't grow on trees. It could be a financial thing. It could be an emotional impact. But each one of them are manifested in certain ways within our lives that continue to play out. But we mask it because we don't want to be seen as a less than person, or as a lower tier human being.
Yeah, because we think if we open that up and tell everybody, then people won't believe in us. They won't pay us. Our business will suffer. They'll think we're weak. Blah 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 blah. Right. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that you should just go out there and air the dirty laundry, right? It means that you're strategic about being authentically healed and then building that business lifestyle goal or whatever, right? And this is why I love it. So, man, I need a longer show. We got to get you back on the Hounds, man. So we got about 6 minutes. I got 2 questions for you, Baz. Take the time of the 6 minutes for these. Because a lot of our listeners, man, they faced their own tough times. A lot of the Hounds members, man, we're no stranger to it. So what's the message? What's your message to someone who's standing exactly where you once stood, Baz? Broken, and wondering if they got what it takes.
There's something I always lead with, and it's you are the miracle. No matter what happens in life, you are here for a reason, and you've got to remember that you are that miracle. It takes a billion things to happen for you to even open your eyes. The moment you think you're less than somebody or above somebody equally, because it can go in both directions, you're fighting a losing battle. Yeah. You're equal to everybody, and you have something here that within you that somebody else needs. You have a message, you have a purpose, but you have to you've got to define that yourself. Stop listening to what everybody else is telling you and start listening to that internal dialogue and the truth that is. So you don't have to be a sheep. I'm not saying don't follow people, because everybody needs guides. But what I'm saying is don't follow a narrative and conform to a belief system that has got you where you are today. Good, bad. There isn't any good or bad in the world. Morally, there is. Yes, there is. But when it comes to objectively and looking at things from a lens of equality and, in a neutral position, all the experiences taught you where you are today. Everything that you are capable of, you have the knowledge to do, or you've got access to do it. All you have to do is ask. And that doesn't mean sometimes asking somebody else. Ask internally. Have a dialogue with yourself. You're not crazy for talking to yourself.
No.
Okay, if you're hearing voices, please go and get some help. I'm not a medical person. I don't know about that. But I do know about when you start asking the right questions within yourself first. That's where your life starts to change.
Brutal honesty, man. And you can't fake that. That only comes from struggle and hopefully guidance, because what you're describing, I went through, man. And a lot of folks are going through it. So I love what you said about equal. I used to look up and down. Now I look eye level. And if I can't look eye level, I go away and go and I do something else. And again, I love the way you framed it too, man. And I think the folks in the Hounds and the audience get this. It's not, it used to be to me, and it's not bad or good thinking. It's just next level thinking. It's thinking that will take you to the next place, that plane. But good and bad. Now I like to use the words like wise and unwise, skillful, unskillful. Because just because I say no doesn't mean it's bad, right, boss? It just means not for me, not right now, or not aligned. Maybe we don't share the values, right? Maybe you're trying to feed a vegan a steak dinner, and I don't like that. Things like this. But it's not that you're bad. And see, that's the perspective of folks that have been there and done that. So not only did you coach yourself, right? You've helped others, and now you're wanting to expand that empire and help more people because they have an impact to make. That's why we're aligned. So let me ask the last question. I want to make sure everybody out there, you help females, right? Professional females reclaim life in general, whatever their goals are, whatever's off track. You help them do that. And so everybody go to Rams, all right, Rams by Baz, all right, .com, ramsbybaz.com. And you can learn more about all his offerings, but the Women Reclaim program, all right, that's the main thing right now. That's the big ticket. All right, that's helping a lot of people. All right, so final question, brother, and people are going to follow up with you. All right, our listeners are facing their own tough times, or they did face their own tough times. And it seems like everybody's facing a tough time right now in the climate, right? So what's your message to someone who's standing exactly, all right, where you're at? But one of these RAM strategies, the same kind of question, but what's one of the RAM strategies that they can implement tonight to change that trajectory? What's one baby step people can take that will put them on that path to overcoming obstacles and living the life that they can and they should live?
Sure. It's getting clear on what you want specifically, not generalize, oh, maybe I want this, but get a clear, concise understanding, or as I like to say, an inner standing of what it is you want. And plan out that entire day from when you get in the morning, from when you get into breakfast, what happens after breakfast, where you're going to go, what car are you driving, what house are you living in, what are you doing if you've got kids or a family or a partner, what are you doing with them, what does your work day look like, what do your after work day look like, are you going out for a meal, are you going sailing, are you going on a kayak, you going for whatever it is. Plan that entire day as a perfect day. What does your bank balance look like? What phone do you have? What are you wearing? Go into the smallest detail you can to plan that day. You'll be surprised what your imagination has got. And if you think that's it, try again, because you'll start to imagine different scenarios. And if you need inspiration, go and look at the people you admire. Look there for inspiration. Don't copy. Never copy somebody, but look there for inspiration. That may help you.
Absolutely. See, folks, go to ramsbybaz.com. No fluff, just guidance to help you get unstuck and go out there and make that daggum impact, man. Is it easy? No, man. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. Right? I'm glad it's not easy, Baz, but it's doable. You just have to make the decision and go out there and get your butt kicked if that's what it takes until you figure it out. Because, listen, there's not only light at the end of the tunnel, but there's light in the tunnel. All right. So no one, all right, not that I know of, and if you did, let us know, but no one gets out of this thing on the easy street. If you want to go to the next level, that's going to require caterpillar style growth. So thank you, Baz, for being in the Hounds. Thank you for the guidance that you've helped me with. You sound a lot like April Wyatt because I kept hearing the intention theme popping up. So thank you, folks, Hounds, April, all the people in the comments. Mike King, you're the man. Everybody tune in next week. Love this show. And again, if you are trying to build a business, maybe you're not struggling. Before you struggle, or if you're struggling, if people keep selling you the wrong stuff or at the wrong time, and you're just like, where do I start? Like, can anybody tell me where to start this game of entrepreneurship? Hey, welcome home. No more strays. Hounds of Business. All right, check us on YouTube, LinkedIn, send a carrier pigeon, folks. Baz, you're the man. Appreciate you, big dog. See everybody next week. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the weekend, everyone. You got to do Princess Wave, man. Thank y'all for stopping by. Be sure to follow, share, and like, and send me a message if you had fun today. Y'all come back now.